And back here on ZNN this morning, we'll do a little bit of that. So let's get this party started. Up here this morning, Rex Davis. Rex, what happened at the meeting the other night?
Well, the social hour is pretty good. Everybody's getting along pretty well. I walked around and talked to quite a few people, and we discussed some of the issues. And you know, in every organization, you have those people that sit down, never say anything. They keep themselves pretty much. They leave when the meeting's over. They don't hang around. And any organization is that way. Well, I think what happened in this particular case, they took charge. They took charge. And I don't know what that means, but okay. But
that means I'm speaking in tongues to someone else.
Okay, well, I think those members took charge of the situation after the doors were closed, and I think things worked out real well for the vice chairman. He was kept on, and I think the executive committee might have a chance to survive.
Now, what's the deal with you personally? Are you in or out?
I'm out. Now, actually, I was out when I resigned in June. I had intended on resigning. I talked to Ronnie Kaufman about resigning in February, and he asked me to stay on. I didn't. Actually, we talked about me resigning in October of last year after the election, because I've been there 5 years, and you kind of start getting a.
Did you try to stay in with a vote?
Well, I tried to pull a Robert's Rules technicality where I could stay in and I could speak for Tony Llewellyn, the vice chairman. We had prepared the presentation, and we didn't know I wasn't going to be able to speak. And then at the last minute, they said I couldn't speak for Tony. And so, as a result, I pulled a Robert's Rules technicality to try to be able to stay on the committee where I could speak. And it didn't work. Now,
a lot of people tried to, so you're out.
Yes, sir, I'm out.
All right. But Kaufman himself, according to News Courier this morning, wrote that he was asking for the removal of Llewellyn as vice chairman of the executive committee at News Courier this morning due to verbal abuse to members of the current steering committee, calling them stupid and ignorant if they do not agree with him.
Well,
is that true?
It may be true, and
Kaufman further wrote that Llewellyn made aggressive attacks toward members of the executive committee, screaming and yelling at them very close to their face.
Not true. I wasn't there.
Quoting Ronnie Kaufman.
I wasn't there, but I wasn't there in these meetings. I've been in plenty of meetings with Tony Llewellyn. I've known Tony Llewellyn for a long time.
Says it was raunchous.
And
now, raunchous means disruptive.
Disruptive. It was at first, and then they settled down.
Did you have to leave?
I had to leave. I was asked to leave. So
that's the first time that's ever happened to you?
Well, yes, first time. But let me explain this about Tony. Tony, you've had him on your show.
Yeah.
Tony's loud.
Yeah.
Tony's loud.
Louder than you.
He's louder than I am. Yes, he is. And he gets started on something, and by gosh, he's going to stick to it. Now, that's the way politics is. That's the way these organizations are. When you disagree with somebody, you get big.
Well, a lady here named Linda Wilson was requesting a vote of no confidence concerning the removal of Llewellyn.
Right.
And she's not a fan of yours either.
No. No, I've had run-ins with Linda Wilson for the past 5 years.
So there's a lot of arguing going on between the Republican Party.
Great deal of personalities, Jamie. These people are very passionate about what they do. These are volunteers who are not paid for what they do, and they're strong-willed, and they believe in everything that they say, and they believe strongly.
Are you disappointed you're not a member of that anymore?
No, not at all.
No, you try to get back in?
No, I will not try to get back in. I have no interest in getting back in, and it's nothing personal.
That you've been known as the face of the Limestone County Republican Party for quite some time now?
Is it true?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm probably the most outspoken Republican in Limestone County. And that's right. And that's what I tried to I try to make the public understand that the party is here and who the people in the party are and what they're trying to accomplish. And you can't do that behind closed doors. And that's the way the organization was working before I became a member. You had very few members of the committee that were out there doing anything, and most of what they were doing was social stuff. They were going to elected officials when they showed up in town. They'd show up, shake their hands, get their pictures taken, and go away. But what I tried to do is get the executive committee to where it was active in the community. And when you're active in the community, you sometimes you stand out.
All right, in your personal opinion right now, what is the outlook for the Limestone County Republican Party?
Well, again,
good or bad?
You have to remember the executive committee. The executive committee is volunteers, 37 people, and they're self-appointed, and they really don't mean that much. There's not that much to the elected officials. They can do a lot of damage to elected officials, but they can't help those officials very much.
In your prediction, will the Republicans have a clean sweep here in Limestone County in the coming up in
I think they'll do
a year
very,
from
very
now,
well.
a year and a half from now?
Very well. Our elected officials are excellent representatives. They're doing an excellent job, every one of them. I can't think of one of them that I want to replace. I know them all personally. I know the work they do. We have disagreements. I disagree with some of the things they do, and they certainly disagree with what I say sometimes. Yeah. But we have a good bunch of elected officials. Now, those are the ones that you and I and everybody in Limestone County voted for. These people on the executive committee are not. They're not accountable to the electorate unless someone runs against them in the primary. Technically, they're elected in the primary, but they've never had any challenges in the primary.
But bottom line is you're out.
Yes, sir, I am out.
Right, no regrets.
But I will still be an activist for the Republican Party and Republican ideas.
That hurt your feelings when you didn't get back in?
No. Again, it was a technicality. It was a technicality trying to get back in to help Tony. And it didn't work, and it probably should not have worked.
Well, how can they work if Ronnie Kaufman doesn't like Tony Llewellyn? So how are they going to mesh?
Well, they're going to have to work out their differences, or the party's going to fall apart. And again, these people in the executive committee that are not on the steering committee, the non-elected people, non-elected officers, they're going to have to take charge and let these people know that they are in charge of this committee, not the elected officers.
Will the
Interesting.
One other question here. Will the Democratic Party of Limestone County resurface?
I don't think it will now.
Or anywhere in the state of Alabama?
I don't think it will. I think
So we're a one-party deal now?
I'm concerned after Obama. After Obama, I am very concerned. I'm also concerned with some of the things that are happening on the social, you know what my feelings are on the social politics. I think the social politics need to stay out of national level. On the state level and the local level, I think they're fine getting involved in social stuff. But at the national level, we got to narrow that triangle down to very few stuff on the platform, and I'm not sure we're going to do that. And I mentioned this morning the college Republicans. They're supporting gay marriage. They're supporting lesbian marriage. Absolutely.
Well, you got to accept it. You have to accept it. This is going to be a part of our life.
Well, and
it ain't what the Bible says, but we have to accept it.
Mike Hubbard, Speaker Hubbard, has said that it doesn't affect Alabama, but guess what? It will affect Alabama down the road.
All right.
I've never been a fan of social politics.
Well, anyway, Rex, thanks again for coming up. Look forward to having you back. Keeping us posted on what's happening. And always the outspoken one, Mr. Rex Davis here in Limestone County.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Right now, I want to go. Well, yesterday we tried to share some video with you. By the way, eat at Lawler's if you get an opportunity. We were there, ate from there this week. I say hello to Clara this morning.
Nice to meet you.
One of the nicest people on earth, right down at Lawler's here on Highway 72. We're going to travel down Ricketts Road again. My buddy Jamie Ricketts was up at Falls Mill. We're going to continue that piece. He'll be doing a weekly piece with us also. Here's that. We'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow morning.
Bye-bye.
Here we are again. We're in the weaving room now with Miss Janie with explaining what this machine is.
Well, we've got this is called a Saxony wheel, and what I'm doing when I press the pedal, it lifts and lowers the handle that turn the flywheel and the belts that run the pulleys, and it's taking the wool fibers. This is actually a blend of wool and mohair that's been carded and dyed. It's taking it
mohair.
Okay, yeah. Wool is from sheep, so this is sheep hair and goat hair that's been blended together and dyed. And when I start the spinning wheel, it takes the fibers, it twists them together, and it makes them into yarn. and I control the thickness of the yarn by the amount of fiber that goes through my fingertips. So where I pinch it with my right hand, I'm stopping the twist. The loose fibers, the carded wool in my left hand, I just keep it loose and smooth so it doesn't snag up. Now, when this was a textile factory, the spinning operation took place on the 3rd floor. And where I'm doing one thread at a time, they could do 1,000 threads at once in this factory.
We made it upstairs here to the 3rd floor. I don't know if this is really open to the public yet. They're still in the process of putting all this back together and restoring it. Mr. John here, I'd like for you to just tell us a little bit about this and tell us what we're looking at right here.
Okay, this is an 1883 model spinning mule, it's called, and these were used in textile factories to produce yarn and thread. They went obsolete generally in the 1930s in most of the textile factories, and this is the oldest and the largest that's left in the United States. There are only about 12 of these left in the country now. The carriage right here moves in and out during the spinning cycle, and all the movements of the machine mimic how a woman spins on a spinning wheel, basically.
Now, it takes obviously a lot of yarn to be able to just spin on this machine. Now, how many goats do you think it would take to spin this one day?
Well, it'll probably take at least 100 or so to produce enough yarn to keep this machine in operation, because each fleece weighs about anywhere from 2 to 6 or 8 pounds coming off the sheep. The big carding machines on the 1st floor process about 200 pounds a day. So you can imagine how much that would take to keep this machinery going in production.
Well, that is amazing, Mr. John. And I tell you, you guys, you need to come and see this whole operation here at Falls Mill. It's amazing from the ground up, and just the scenery is beautiful. It's cool. Just things you're not going to see just anywhere. Mr. John, appreciate your time.
We're
showing me around. And
come back soon.
well, most definitely it will. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank Mr. John and Miss Janie Lovett for having me out here today at Falls Mill. I thoroughly enjoyed my time here. It's very worthwhile to gather your kids up, maybe your Sunday school class, get together, come out here, bring something to eat, have a picnic, just enjoy the sights. The scenery is beautiful, and learn a little bit about times gone by. Now, they've got some other things here in the museum depicting of an earlier life, how people lived and the tools they used, and it's just very, very interesting, and they're just wonderful, wonderful people. So sweet. There's more here that I wished I had this opportunity and had the time to show and share with you, but you just need to come and see it for yourself up here in Belvedere, Tennessee. I'll include their website so you guys can plug her into your GPS and maybe call and set up for a group to come up and go on a tour. Thank y'all.
And I can't wait to get on the road again.